Okay, welcome back. And now we have from the Long Beach Island Landmark Association, Douglas Shear. And first of all, Douglas, welcome to the show. And you will be at the Long Beach Library Saturday at 2 p.m. and giving out a great speech. What will you be talking about, and why should people attend this event on Saturday and get a great piece of Long Beach history?
Sure, thanks, Howie. Certainly a lot of people have moved to Long Beach over the last 50 years or more, and they would love to know about Long Beach beyond those 50 years. And what we're going to do is look back through postcards that are dating back over 100 years at what Long Beach looked like back then and how it's changed over the years.
Well, we want a lot of people to show up at this event because there's nothing like history. But just for the show purposes, how has Long Beach evolved over the years?
From the late 1800s, when we had the largest seaside hotel in the world, which unfortunately burnt down, where we had people like Oscar Wilde coming and giving lectures. We went through a period where a man came along in the early 1900s and put 3 small islands together, dredged the channel behind Long Beach, and made one big island, which incorporated as a city in 1922. But over those years, it was a real resort. In the 1920s and 1930s, people came here because there were no planes yet for people to go down south to Florida or to the Caribbean. So people came to a great boardwalk and a great beach to enjoy the seaside resort.
Speaking of the boardwalk, what was the boardwalk like back in the 30s and 40s, and how has it changed from, there was no Alegria Hotel back in the 30s and 40s, so what was Long Beach like in the boardwalk and culture here in Long Beach like back in the 30s and 40s?
Sure. After the Long Beach Hotel burnt down, the Nassau Hotel was created in the early 1900s, and it would replace it as the mainstay of Long Beach. But many other hotels were built along the boardwalk in those days, and people stayed here for any length of time because it had an awful lot to offer. In addition to the beach and the boardwalk, where do you find less than an hour from New York City a boardwalk and a beach where you can commute into the city in no time at all?
And we talked about before the show, but this is very important for the Island Landmark Association. Talk about the grant that has been issued and what impact that will have here in Long Beach.
Right. Thanks to Nassau County and Denise Ford, we were able to secure a $5,000 grant, which would allow us to put up historical markers throughout the city. And those will include markers in front of the railroad station, the Long Island Railroad Station. Was built in 1909, and so it's just over a little over 100 years old. And even if you look at pictures of that station from about the 1950s and 60s, it's changed dramatically, but it's been kind of reconditioned and brought back to its original shape. And we also wanted to put a marker at the boardwalk and the 3 canals. The canal section of Long Beach is in our eastern end of Long Beach, but up against Lido Beach, and those canals have names. They're famous for world-renowned golfers, because we at one time at Lido Beach had one of the greatest golf courses in the world here, actually one of the top 3, the Lido Beach Golf Course. And while there is a Lido Beach Golf Course today, it's a kind of a shadow of what it used to be.
And Long Beach has a lot of history, and a lot of famous people have grew up in Long Beach and have made their home in Long Beach. Talk about some of the famous people throughout the history of Long Beach who grew up here in Long Beach.
Right. Most recently, a book came out by one of our more recent Long Beach High School graduates. That would be Billy Crystal, and he wrote about his growing up in Long Beach. And actually the cover of the book is him standing in front of his home on East Park Avenue. But in addition to that, if you want to look at famous baseball coaches, we have Larry Brown. Famous politicians, we certainly had not only Reynolds, who came here to build a city when there was not much here, and his dream became reality. But in addition to that, we had Joe Carlino, who was Speaker of the Assembly back in the 1960s. And through the years, we've had some great stars that have come and lived here. I remember as a kid delivering laundry to Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet up in Lido. But a lot of others have really made this their home because it's a great seaside resort and cooler temperatures in the summer, warmer temperatures in the winter.
And again, folks, Douglas will be giving a speech, have postcards. That'll be Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Long Beach Library. And Douglas, if you love Long Beach and you love history, this is a must-see event Saturday here in Long Beach.
Absolutely. If you want to see what Long Beach looked like 100 years ago and how it evolved over the years through pictures and anecdotes, this is really a must-see event because many people don't know what it used to look like and how it's changed, and in many ways for the better. But the one thing that remains constant here is a great boardwalk and a great beach, and people have enjoyed that for the same reasons for over 100 years.
Now, let's give it up for Douglas Shear. I'm going to use that segment to segue into another segment. February just passed, and we celebrated Black History Month. And we're going to celebrate with Walter Searcy, who was featured in the Long Beach Herald. And before I get Walter, I want to segue a little note of history that ties in Black History Month to Long Beach. For many years, sports writers, black football players wondered, when will the day become when an African American is given an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League? Who will have the courage to make that decision? The man who made history, who made that decision, was Al Davis, who was the owner of the Oakland Raiders when he named Art Shell the first African American head coach. Why am I mentioning that in Long Beach? Because Al Davis grew up in Long Beach.
Wow.
So it took a person who grew up in Long Beach to make history. And now let's bring in my man, Walter Searcy. Walter, I know it big event at the MLK Center yesterday, but let's touch on, it just passed. What was the significance and the impact of Black history to you here in Long Beach?
Well, thanks a lot, Howard. The impact of that with Black history for me is back in the 60s, Martin Luther King had came into Long Beach and he visited my church. And he had made a statement of the church. They wanted to take a picture of him in front of the church, and Martin Luther King said no, he didn't want to take a picture in front of the church. He said he wanted to take a picture of all the older houses that were out. You have John Wilkerson, who's a famous civil rights activist that came in during that time. There was a lot of donations and monies that was given to my church for my former pastor, which was our founder, to build the church. That's just about everything I got, other than also in Black history. If you remember the Reverend Frederick Agriculture, Reverend Ike, he lived in Long Beach.
That's good. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. And if you don't know, Walter was a part of a very historical day in Black history. For many years, professional golfing tours was closed to African Americans. The man who made history, the first African American golfer to play,
Where's the African American master
to play, was Lee Elder. When Lee Elder made history that very day, his caddy was Walter Searcy. Awesome. So let's give it up for Walter Searcy. We're going to take a break. We're coming to you live from the prestigious office of Pecknick and Schaefer, 1005 West Beach Street. If you missed the play Finian's Rainbow here in Long Beach, you missed some incredible performances. Some of the great actors who put their heart and soul into an amazing performance will be here. Tracy Lynn with a hockey spin, Eddie Digital, Al Iaquinto. They're all coming up after the break, so keep it locked in to 1240 AM WGBB. I am Halftime Howie. This is Broadcasting on the Beach. And we are taking a break. This is Long Island's first and oldest radio station, WGBB.